Welcome, welcome, come one, come all. Thank you for joining us here in the Action Lab on a Wednesday night. How is everyone doing tonight? Scotty, we are here getting people through the week. We have a big show. Might be our best show we've ever done in the history of our show. Scotty, I can't hear you.
Mic check. My bad. My bad. There's like a switch you have to hit again, I guess. No, I'm excited for this one. I just found out that we had a Wednesday show. Have I missed a few Wednesday shows? I didn't know we had these.
Supposedly we're on Wednesdays. We've only
Wow.
And I checked into this. I checked into the database on how long the Wednesday show has been around, and it's been around for a while. So, welcome back.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't done a Wednesday show in years. What do we talk about on Wednesdays?
Oh, we talk top stories. We're talking Euro 2020. We're talking NBA, NHL playoffs. I mean, this is a loaded show. So we're off and running with it.
Do we start with No Hat Chris? I don't know if we've ever seen No Hat Chris on a show before.
So I typically I wear a hat 75 to 80% of the time in life. And then 100% of the time, if not 95% of the time, on stream. Now, when I get a fresh cut, though, everything's looking stylish. Like, you know what's great is you know what I need to do to add some flair to this is maybe get like European soccer players have some of the best haircuts on earth, right? I mean, you see some of the NBA guys that get some pretty decent haircuts, whatever. That's great. But you get you got the Cristiano Ronaldo haircut. Everything is just so, like, buttoned up. So, in a sense, I had my inner Euro 2020 feeling tonight where I wanted to get the just let loose on the hair with a fresh do, So, I went with it.
I like it. I'm just sitting here playing around with colors because I appear to be really dark. Which might be good because I have a face for radio, unfortunately.
I mean, we'll got to get you your Euro 2020 haircut. We got to get, fresh do for you, and we can rock it both. Belly jumping in the chat. Welcome in. Love that kid, Scotty, that lid.
Yeah. This it's a new one. This is the bear right here, golden bear. I got it on my golf trip. I played a Jack Nicklaus course out on the trip called Fire Lake, and actually I won this hat. So I got to choose a hat in the clubhouse after taking down some people in a little competition we had out on the course. So rocking it tonight with the U.S. Open starting tomorrow. So
boom, we're gonna be talking to the U.S. Open.
yeah, appreciate it, Belly.
Belly, how you doing, man? It's been a while. We haven't seen you in a little bit. How's life? How's everything going? Let us know. We got some U.S. Open stuff to talk about. We got a packed show, so I think we just dive in. By the way, thank you for joining us here. We are streaming live on 3 different platforms. We are live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. So make sure if you're on one of those platforms, you hit that follow button if you're here and you're enjoying all the conversations. What's even more important is that you throw in all your hot takes and all the info that you want to throw in the chat so we could talk about it and have some conversations back and forth, because we love that more than anything. So love to hear each and every one of you. You guys are all family here, so love to have you as part of the community and just joining in on all of the fun conversations we got going on here tonight. So let's dive in. We have the news rundown to hit you with here, and we have some big stories. And we're starting out with a big one. We got some history in the making soon enough with one of the best tennis players on the planet, and that's Novak Djokovic, who, by the way, I think he may have won this tournament based off of the fact that he was rocking that Jokic jersey during training for a couple of these days. I don't know if you saw that, Scotty.
I mean, I'd say that's the case, but if that's the case, why are the Nuggets out of the playoffs?
Well, he could only do so much from where he's at. But
he gave all his powers. Joker gave all his powers over to Djokovic to win the French Open. I get it.
Yeah. He wanted to be selfless in that sense. So he wanted to make sure his buddy won the tournament. And then, next year he's going to get the good juju for the Nuggets. But Novak Djokovic won his 19th major title and second at the Roland Garros, following back-to-back comeback wins over Rafa Nadal and Stefanos Tsitsipas.
Get it right.
How do you pronounce that, Scotty?
I don't know.
So
I'm not going to try. I was leaving it to you.
So what's crazy is the fact that, obviously this tournament is owned by Rafa Nadal because he has just always dominated at the French Open. Clay is his domain, right? So the fact that Djokovic came in and won this one, and not only that, but he was down 2 sets in the finals to Stefanos and ended up coming back to win, which I had a nice little bet on, and I ended up cashing in on that one. So it appeared that, this was finally going to be shifting and changing of the guard to maybe some of the younger guys coming up in the tennis rankings, and maybe taking out some of the big boys who maybe are getting a little older. But Djokovic wasn't quite ready for that, right? He stormed back to win the next 3 sets for an epic comeback victory, 6-7, 2-6, 6-3, 6-2, 6-4. He became just the 6th man in the history of the Open era to win at a major after falling into an 0-2 deficit. So now he's won both majors held in 2021, and being the obvious favorite entering Wimbledon, the U.S. Open, and the Olympics, Djokovic. I keep thinking like Jokic. I keep getting him mixed up because I'm so used to saying Jokic. Has a chance to join Steffi Graf as the only player to achieve the Golden Slam. So Djokovic is now just 1 title behind Nadal and Federer for the record on the men's side. He will have the opportunity to tie or even surpass them this year. While much of the GOAT conversation entering into the tournament centered around Nadal because of his career-long domination on clay, his potential to take sole ownership of the record with a 14th title at Roland Garros, Djokovic played spoiler and now is is chasing history for a majority of some of the best tennis records coming up here. He's the reigning champion at Wimbledon still and will be the tournament's top seed.
Yeah, himself out there. He's got an attitude, but it works for him. He's not as loved as Nadal or Federer, so there's probably a lot of tennis fans out there that didn't want to see this guy pull it out. And that semifinal match against Nadal was a phenomenally played match on both sides. Like, actually, the final, even though he went down 2-0, it looked like he was just tired from the battle he had against Nadal in the semis. And then he was able to rebound and kind of dominate from there and take the last 3 sets in the final. But that semifinal match was one of the best matches the men's tennis has seen in quite a while. But Djokovic is going to go down listen, it's going to happen. It's only a matter of time. He's won behind these 2 guys now. He's probably going to win a couple more majors this year. Like, who's going to stop him at Wimbledon? He's probably taking down the U.S. Open. Like, this guy's the best tennis player to ever exist, but no one wants to really talk about it because they don't like his personality.
I don't understand it either. Like, I find him as like a likable guy for, from like a fan standpoint. I think he's fantastic. I'm a fan.
No, I mean, you got to be a fan of how great he is at the game. Like, and he's passionate, so it's not like a lack of passion, or he's not boring. Now, does he show his emotion in a way that maybe people don't want to see sometimes? Sure, but that's life. Like, it's not like he's a baby or a whiner like a lot of athletes seem to be these days, and whether it's basketball or soccer or any of those sports where, guys just aren't tough or anything like that. This guy's tough. He's durable. He's still 34, which in tennis years is old. But when you look at, I'm pretty sure Nadal or Federer I think is 40. Nadal's older than 34, so Djokovic is going to go down as the leader in career major titles, and it's only a matter of time. And like, we should appreciate, like, for one thing, he's won them all now. He wins them all. It's not like where Nadal has his specialty on clay, and Nadal's won on other surfaces and majors, obviously, but he dominates on clay. Whereas this guy just dominates everywhere. He just is incredible all over the place. So I hope people can get around to just at least appreciating what they're watching, because it's historical. It's the greatest male tennis player probably we've ever seen, and he's not talked about enough.
Deb in chat, I'm surprised. I'm impressed that he can speak 8 different languages. Honestly, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I mean, I speak one okay. But
yeah, it's crazy. If that was, by the way, side note, if I had a superpower, I would definitely choose one of. There would be two superpowers I'd choose. One would be to breathe underwater, so I could like swim and do whatever I want, right? And two would be to speak as many languages as there are. Like it would be so cool to speak like multiple languages. How cool! Like I don't know. So the fact
I would want to do it to go to different countries and have like a perfect American accent, and then just have them think I don't know the language and start talking about me. I just want to know what people say. Like, oh, this idiot American or something. I just assume the worst, of course. But I'm sure people aren't that bad. I'm a nice person, I think, sometimes. Belly, bring back Agassi. Agassi for sure was my guy. Probably my favorite tennis player ever. When I was a kid, there was Agassi and Sampras. And Sampras was way more successful, but I was way more as far as, career wins and stuff. But I was an Agassi guy. He was fun to watch. He was exciting. Maybe before some people's time, but in our era, like Agassi was my number one. I had his shoes. Like I remember his like camera commercials. Like
Oh,
I don't know if
yeah.
you remember those or those action shot like
Nikon or something.
or was it? I don't even know what brand it was, but it was. Man, he was all over the place. And he had the long locks, and then he shaved it down when he was balding, basically. But that dude was fun to watch too.
That was a hell of a rivalry. So like I was a Sampras guy when I was a kid. I liked watching Pete Sampras. And
you like boring people. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
I respect Sampras. I just wanted a little more flair for him. He was just too perfect. He was like the perfect human being.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like for me, I mean, there's always been those rivalries, right? You got Pete Sampras and Agassi. You got Nadal and Federer was the longest one, and then you have Djokovic, who's kind of come in and kind of like been that third like guy that's coming in and been torching people too. So it's been interesting, man. The tennis landscape. I'm going to be watching a lot of that Wimbledon coming up here. That's going to be really, really cool to see him as the top seed try to take down history there. So we'll see what happens. But congrats to Djokovic, and we will see if he can pull it off. Sampras was so boring, Belly. I don't remember it being that boring, but maybe
Thank you, Belly.
Maybe I'm a little off. Maybe my memory. It's been so long ago. I'm old now, so I maybe I don't recall as much. But that's neither here nor there. But let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, and that's the MLB Crackdown. So this is an interesting one, guys. Now this has been popping up all season long. Now it's regarding substances that pitchers are using in Major League Baseball to get a little bit more control on the ball. And what's happening is the Major League Baseball is expected to announce Tuesday that it will suspend players caught with any foreign substance for 10 days with pay to help curtail the widespread use of grip enhancers by pitchers around the league. Now, the main substance in question is called spider tack. It's kind of this industrial glue that has become a favorite among pitchers who is just to generate more spin on the ball. And it increases spin rate and, helps manipulate and control where the ball goes as well. So that's kind of the big thing. And, what's funny is like on social media, TikTok and Twitter and all these different things, a lot of people are saying, posting their videos of players, pitchers go into their hats, go into their glove, go into various areas of, and dabbing up with some of this glue, some of this spider tack, whatever, and using it to, gain an advantage of, pitching the ball. And, this has kind of been like a normal thing and kind of been known around the league a little bit. Like, it's not like this is like a surprise to a lot of people, I don't think, but they're just trying to cut it down. Now, this is also part of an issue when it comes to the fact that scoring is at the all-time low, or at a historic low right now. Like nobody's scoring right now because, and this has been a hot topic because a lot of media outlets have said baseball is not watchable right now based off of the fact that it's all pitchers. The pitching is what is leading this, and no one wants to see strikeouts and pop-ups and ground-outs all game long and low-scoring games. People want to see scoring. And so, changing this up, one solid side note on this, Buster Olney of ESPN, since this has come out, pitchers have been, kind of prepping for this and getting away from it. And batting averages have come up over the last 10 days by 10 points across the league, which, it's already seeing a little bit of a change, and it hasn't even been enacted yet. So, Scotty, I mean, what do you think about all this? Obviously, I think it's going to be good for, getting some more offense into baseball and getting the game back to being a little bit more exciting as opposed to like that slow, grindy feeling. But what do you think here?
Yeah, ultimately, I think it's the right thing to do. Like, every other sport has catered to making rules that cater to offense, right? The NBA, you can't hardly touch anybody. NFL, they, on defense, those corners and secondary guys can't touch anybody. Just catering because, the audience wants to see scoring. And baseball has turned into, this is like the lowest batting average ever, highest strikeout rate, just a lot of issues that don't condone drawing viewership, like especially new fans and younger fans who want to see some excitement and don't want to feel like, it's constantly like, all right, there's 2 outs, there's nobody on, blah, blah, blah. Like, let's get some people on base. Let's get some action. Let's have like different things in place. If you get people on base, then maybe defenses can't shift the way they are and prevent people from hitting, getting hits on well hit balls, but they're just in the right positions. I think ultimately it's great for baseball. The real controversy that's kind of come out is doing this middle of the season.
That's another thing. Yep.
So, Tyler Glasnow, pitcher for Tampa Bay, recently got injured with a, UCL injury, which is always scary to think about Tommy John. And he blamed it on his last 2 starts, having to adjust and not only is it spider tack, but you can't have sunscreen on your hands. You can't have, there's a couple other things I'm drawing a blank on right now. And he was just like, I have to now change everything I'm doing. I grip the ball way differently. I have to grip it tighter because I don't have a grip that I used to have. And for me, I'm like, you shouldn't have that grip. Like, there shouldn't be a foreign object. You should just be pitching with your hand. But at the same time, you don't want to see someone get injured over that, if that it really is the case that, he feels. Another pitcher that never shies away from talking in the media, Dodgers, Trevor Bauer.
He's all over.
Kind of followed up on Glasnow, just saying, MLB's known about all of this for 4 years and he just swept it on the rug, hasn't cared. Now they want to implement it mid-season to, based off public perception, but that they just, and competitive integrity, which he claims they have no integrity at all, and they actually don't care. But, would I prefer this would have just happened prior to the season? Of course, yes. But at the same time, with what's happened so far this season, they need to do something. Like, you can't just have these games where no one's hitting. No, it's hurting the game moving forward. So ultimately, I think it's a good thing. Hopefully, there's not a lot of injuries that come from this. But we're seeing a lot of even today, a lot of higher scoring, but still 1-run games. I mean, a lot of finals that were higher scoring, but still 1-run games. And it doesn't help where if your team gets down 3-0, all of a sudden you're like, I'm not going to watch anymore because this one's over.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel that way watching a baseball game. You want to believe your team can come back. So I think it's ultimately they had to do it. Should they have done it before this season? Probably, but ultimately this is where we're at, and we're going to see a more exciting brand of baseball moving forward, which I think is good.
Yeah, and I mean, on the flip side too, you mentioned it's hurting the pitchers. Yeah, it's also going to be, you're going to start seeing guys get hit with the balls because they won't be able to control the ball as much. So you're going to see a rise in guys getting hit because of the ball getting away from the pitcher, not having the same control and not having the same precision as they might normally be used to. So that's another aspect. You're going to maybe see a rise in that in the short term. But another thing too, multiple players have said they're hopeful that the MLB would differentiate among the substances and buy time for a potential, universal substance that pitchers can use for grip. So maybe a league approved grip substance that's pitchers can use that maybe doesn't give the pitchers as much of an advantage, but still, gives them a little bit of the control. So while Major League Baseball has explored creating a such product, it is yet to formulate something that serves as a grip enhancer without being a performance enhancer. So, the league is the Players Association has mentioned that the players want to have a little bit more input into that aspect. But how would you feel if there was like a universal kind of substance, maybe like approved by Major League Baseball, given enough testing to let pitchers kind of go out? Because I think there could be a slippery slope there too. Is like, you start getting a new kind of pine tar or whatever, I don't know, whatever you want to say, into the game. But then how easy is it for other pitchers to maybe go a little bit different? And it's not like it's going to be checked every single time because you're still using substances. I don't know. It's kind of weird there.
I would prefer they just not have any sort of foreign substance. I don't want them to create something that's universal across the league. You don't want to play that game because how do you actually know that's what is on their hand? Like, but at this, and I don't want this to turn into, they're stopping games all the time because a offensive team complains this guy's got something on his hand that's not legal. Like, I want them to play the game. Just play the game normal. Like, I don't know. I've held a baseball before. I feel like it's pretty easy to grip. I'm not a Major League Baseball pitcher, so I'm sure there's an adjustment when you're used to using something, but live and move on and deal with it. Like, just, I mean, use your God-given ability, which you were given, and don't use a foreign substance to help your game out. Like, I want everyone to be on a level playing field, and everyone should just use their hand as is. I want to see, I don't think inside of hands get sunburnt really, but I want to see them all red because, they can't wear sunscreen anymore on their hand.
And again, this dates back well over a century through all sorts of, back in the day using like pine tar and all those different things. So, I mean, it's been kind of just ingrained in baseball's just fabric in a sense. And yeah, I think you're right. It does need to just tailor back to being more of that straight up natural ability of the pitcher. So we'll see how this ends up playing out and how many people, end up, getting, first of all, in trouble. And two, let's see how it changes the score. And we've already seen in 10 days, it hasn't even been enacted yet. And batting averages are starting to rise, which is, I think, a good thing. So that's what we have there. We'll monitor this as it goes. But next on our agenda, we have Tua. Tua in Miami is in the news, and not because of some great reasons here. Well, I mean, I that sounds a little aggressive. It's not like he's like in trouble or anything. He's not like everything else. But Tua opened up Miami Dolphins minicamp, and he's one of the nice young starters that we're excited to figure out what he's got going into a full season here. So going into day one, Miami Dolphins minicamp, he ended up having a 5-interception day, and is not looking as sharp early on in the minicamp season as people would like to hope. Now, a lot of team officials have mentioned, especially coaches and even Tua himself, that this is where you get the learning out, this and that. So obviously that's all true, but it is kind of concerning that he's that bad coming into training camp. We're kind of going to go on maybe we do a panic meter here on just early on. Is this a big deal, not a big deal, or just in the middle? Now, again, this practice consisted of a part of it was in a rain. There was raining, and it was a downpour there. And they wanted to make this a close to realistic feel for him, as a real game. So, the biggest coming into this, the biggest criticism as a rookie was his hesitancy to throw the deep ball and throw to open receivers. So that's going to be the priority for them. But after a 5-turnover minicamp opening day, it's not looking so great, Scotty. Now, what would you put this at? Something that you should be concerned with? High-level concern? No concern at all? Or something to keep an eye on?
Tua throwing interceptions it's not even training camp yet. It's, zero concern on my part. And that's not to say I'm not concerned with Tua in general as a quarterback, but him throwing interceptions, I'm so glad we're talking about this. Because it allows me to, and I'll take a drink, bring up the Patrick Mahomes. Because all the talk, cheers. All the talk prior to his first year as a starter in training camp was that he was throwing a lot of interceptions. There was articles written, everyone was freaking out, everyone was panicking. And guess what he did? He went on and was the MVP of the league that year. Threw 12 interceptions over the course of the season with 50 touchdowns. 5,100 yards passing. I would prefer, and what Mahomes said was, "Hey, I'm testing my limits. This is practice. This is when I need to know whether me making a throw is going to work or not. So, and sometimes it doesn't work, and I get picked off, and that's fine. But I'm going to test it." And Tua, who was a big check down guy and kind of didn't throw deep or push the envelope last year, him throwing picks in practice, that means he's challenging things. He's trying to work on things. My big concern with Tua was a couple months ago, he came out and said, "I didn't know the playbook like I should have last year." There's a concern. Not him throwing picks in practice right now. He basically said, "I didn't check out of plays at all last year because I didn't know our playbooks. So I went up to the line knowing a play wasn't going to work, but I didn't know how to check out of it and alert and do things to move out of that play, so I never did it." To me, that's a problem. Why is a guy who's, a top 5 pick in the draft and the starting quarterback for a franchise, obviously rookies have a learning curve, but you gotta know the playbook. You gotta look through it and work your ass off to know it and be able to check out of things. So hopefully him admitting that is that he's figured it out and he's gonna move forward and actually look at the playbook and know the playbook. I have concerns for Tua in general, but him throwing a bunch of interceptions in a practice, I don't have any concerns with whatsoever. That's fine with me.
I kind of go back to partly what you just mentioned as not knowing the playbook, because that was a big issue last year of lack of preparation. So part of me is like, how much is this a lack of preparation going into this season if he's throwing interceptions based off of that on the first day? But also, if he's also struggling, going again, biggest criticism going into this season, was throwing the deep ball and getting open receivers, right? So asking him, another concern is asking him whether or not to throw, if he can throw through tight windows that you would not normally do in a regular season. I just feel like you don't want to set him up for failure either if he can't sling the ball the way you want him to through tight windows. And I don't know, again, there's a lot of factors in it. It was raining and there's a lot of things that were going on. So I don't put a lot of extra emphasis into that side of things as much as I do more of the preparation side. But, if you're asking him to do something he's struggling to do, I don't know. That's, you can only coach a guy up so much to a point where I don't know. I think that's, again, the less aspect of this. But yeah, that's part of on my radar of a red flag that I would just be like, don't force him to do something if he can't do it. You're asking for trouble.
Yeah, and hopefully, at this point, they haven't integrated a ton of the playbook into what they're doing out there. So hopefully, it's not a lack of preparation. It's just he's just figuring things out. He's a young QB. He's got a lot of pressure on him because he was taken before Justin Herbert, who ended up being, really, really solid last year for the Chargers. There's already been talks that they, some people have mentioned that they already don't like Tua and they're not happy with Tua. So he's got some pressure that he needs to live up to. And I think part of what he was always just a natural athlete that could just get away with things in high school and college just off his natural skills, and also at Alabama with the talent surrounding him. And now he's going to have to work at it a little bit. So now we'll find out if he has that work ethic to become great, because he has the skills. He's got a lot of the skills you need. He just has to develop and know a playbook, get a little smarter, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Because they have a lot of talent on that football team. Miami has a lot of talent surrounding him.
And not to mention, that division's not getting any worse, given, who's coming up in that division. I mean, he's got to be performing at a high level to keep pace, and that it's going to pass him up quick if he's not. I mean, even New England at the bottom of that division, right as of right now, isn't a slouch, right? You got Bill Belichick, you got, they can coach up their team even with a bunch of, second string guys and still compete at a high level in that division. So, Miami, you got to keep pace, and if he can't keep pace, then, I mean, he's already been mentioned in rumors with Deshaun Watson side of things early on before all the issues started happening with Deshaun Watson. So, that's also something to keep an eye on moving forward, because that's still an open case in a lot of ways. Yes. But let's move on to the next one here. Speaking of quarterbacks in the NFL, we have Derek Carr. Now, I want to know what your BS meter is on this one.
I don't even think it's BS. I mean, yes, he would not quit football, but I just laugh at this because he is the dumbest quarterback in the league. I'm almost convinced. Like, the things he said, and when they were on Hard Knocks, I'm like, you're an idiot and a cheesy guy, and like, listen, you're just Raiders through and through, and the Raiders are so happy to have you that they've been rumored on a bunch of different quarterbacks throughout the offseason trying to trade for. And oh, by the way, you've had 1 winning seasons in your 7 seasons as quarterback of the Raiders. And in that season, you got hurt with a couple of games to go, so you didn't even play in the playoffs, and they didn't win their playoff games. So you have 0 career playoff games in 1 winning season in 7, and you're going to talk about, like, I'm just a Raider through and through, and, like, literally saying, I'd probably quit football if I had to play for somebody else. I just laugh because that puts the Raiders in such a bad position. So this guy's like pouring his heart. It's like the person who's more into, in a relationship or early on or something prior to a relationship. One person in the relationship is more into the other. Derek Carr is clearly more into the Raiders than the Raiders are into him. So, and it's kind of embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Just to give you guys some background, Derek Carr came out this week as the quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. I always want to say Oakland. The Las Vegas Raiders, and said, quote, I'd probably quit football if I had to play for somebody else. And this is after the mandatory minicamp. He's like, I'm a Raider for my entire life. I'm going to root for the team for the rest of my life. It's the Raiders. So I just feel that's so strong in my heart. I don't need a perfect situation to make things right. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, just for a lot of the reasons you said, like, there's a cool thing about being loyal to a team, but there's also this thing about if you got traded to the Green Bay Packers tomorrow, if you got traded to the San Francisco 49ers tomorrow, you're saying, no, I'm not going to play for that team because I'm a Raider. Oh, we want to give you the starting job, Derek. We want to make sure that you're happy. No, I can't. I'm a Raider. No, that is not going to happen. He's going to play for whoever pays his paycheck and whoever is going to give him a chance to win a championship or just play in general. So, he's like, I got that old school mentality. I'm playing for one team and that's it. Let me tell you something, bro. You're not living in the old school world where people stay at their jobs for like 30 years and then retire. That's not how this league works. That's not how like jobs in general work right now. So what makes you think in a league that is cutthroat and they'll throw you aside, he's going to have a rude awakening when they trade his ass to somewhere else? I'm telling you, because if you were to say this, Scotty, would you anticipate him finishing his career as a Raider?
What do I think that'll happen?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not. And do I think he'll go somewhere else and play? Of course. This is him posturing, I think, but like he's so unaware of like who he is. Like, listen, there's a lot of teams and a lot of fan bases that their quarterback, who, if it's an elite quarterback, says that, such as a Patrick Mahomes, he comes out and says, I'd quit football before I played for anyone but the Chiefs. I'm pumped about that. I don't think the Raiders fan base is sitting there like, yes, we get Derek Carr forever. like no, they're not excited about that. They don't even want to hear that. Like they'd like to upgrade if possible. And those Raider fans that don't want to upgrade are just lying to themselves. They're lying to themselves. Is Derek Carr a decent quarterback? At times, yes. Do I think he will ever be a Super Bowl winning quarterback? No, I think he chokes in big situations. I don't think he's a playmaker that can do things outside of the system and, well protected offensive line. So no, I don't think he's a great quarterback. I don't think he'll ever win anything. And I don't think he'll retire. I mean, he may retire a Raider because he'll play most of his career there, but he'll play for someone else because they'll move on him. He needs to literally just sit down and watch the movie He's just not that into you. Because I think that's where the Raiders are at, and he needs to watch that movie and be like, oh, okay. So maybe I shouldn't have said that because I might have to play for another team, and of course I want to make millions of dollars, so I'll play for that other team.
It's just I get where he's coming from, but it's just not realistic. You got to be realistic, man. To your analogy of the girlfriend, it's like, yeah, you're delusional if you think that this person or this team likes you just as much as you like them, because they don't. They've been trying to trade you, and you've been in all these rumors for a while, and you're still just coming back infatuated with this team. I don't understand it. I think for me, it's kind of like he's downgrading himself. Stand up for yourself, bro. Stand up for yourself, and be a man in this situation. You're just. By the way, his record now is 47 and 63 for his career. His 63 losses are the most by a quarterback in his first 7 NFL seasons. The bright spot is he's coming off career highs in passing yards and passer rating, 4,103 passer yards and 101.4 with the Raiders rating, who went 8-8 last season. So, despite the team's lack of success, Carr has, kind of come around a little bit. But I'm telling you, man, you gotta grow a pair and be open to I don't know. I don't know why you would want to stay in with the Raiders. We laugh at their drafts every year because they don't put the right players in place. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has a team that actually gets to the NFC Championship, and he's not happy with how they draft, and he's not happy with the decisions all the things. He's a top level quarterback in the league, and you see how he's handling his situation, which is kind of understood a little bit. Same things happening to Derek Carr. He's like, I'm cool with it. It's like, okay, sure. MVPs handle it differently.
By the way, he won't even touch his stats this year because he had that great year because they had a really, really solid offensive line. They got rid of 3 of their 5 really good offensive linemen in the offseason. So we'll see how he does without that offensive line in front of him. It's going to be a disaster. And their defense is also terrible. So I actually think the Raiders will finish last in the AFC West this year.
I mean, it's not looking good for them. That's for sure.
Maybe they'll be able to finish above your Denver Broncos.
But I do not think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. I wouldn't put that. I wouldn't put that on there. No. But let's get to some golf. We're going to touch on some golf here, and we've talked about this story quite a bit. So you're going to probably touch a little bit more on the big picture of golf in the preview of the U.S. Open. But for me, one of the biggest things I was looking forward to and hoping to happen was the big pairing between Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, which, if you don't know, if you missed our previous shows, you know that these two absolutely hate each other. They're absolutely they despise each other. They're not making it like a quiet, secretive thing. It's out there. They both know that they hate each other. And unfortunately for golf fans who wanted to watch the pair play together for the first 2 rounds of this week's U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, the fans won't get their wish, Scotty. And I'm really, really disappointed. And this was kind of the big highlight. of everything that I want. As much as like I like watching a little bit of the U.S. Open, I don't watch it like completely all the way through like you probably do. But I just wanted to see this drama. Like I would have tuned in that much more if this were a thing. Now, while there's speculation, the USGA that the USGA might pair these two, they ended up avoiding the potential circus that this could bring, which I'm going to touch on in a second. Now, the USGA official also told ESPN that DeChambeau wasn't asked about playing here, and then you get some commentary from some big time golfers. So, first of all, the pairings here. So they're not going to be even playing at the same time as usual for this one. So Koepka's playing with Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas in that little pairing. And then DeChambeau is playing with Tyler Strafasi and Hideki Matsuyama, I believe. And they're playing completely different tees at completely different times of the day. Now, Justin Thomas, number 2 player in the world, told ESPN he believes the USGA did the right thing. Even if fans may have liked it, the tournament is quote, the tournament is a lot bigger than these two, in my opinion. It seems like everyone wanted to see it, but it's not fair for either one of them to be distracted from trying to win a championship, with all these issues. But on the other hand, Woodland, another golfer in the tournament, came out and said he would have loved playing with it. I think this would have been great, Woodland said. I think the fans, all my friends back home, everybody was talking about it. I think this is good for the game. Brooks didn't play for 2 weeks. And it's all over ESPN, all over sports news. I think it's good. So, from that standpoint, golf needs the ratings, man. Golf, like, you get that tournament where they have the football players come in, Tom Brady comes in, and it gets the most ratings because you get the commentary, you get the trash talk, you get everything. You get the drama with it. This is what golf needs. In my opinion, this is why they need to have this pairing, because anybody who knows that this is an issue is going to tune in no matter what, if they're a golf fan or not, just to see these guys absolutely hate each other for these first couple rounds of this tournament. And I think the golf really missed the mark here. I really think that should have happened, and it's kind of unfortunate. But I'm still looking forward to the tournament.
I never thought that would happen. I know people were calling for it. I would have loved to see it. If you want my honest opinion, I think that Bryson DeChambeau told the PGA Tour officials, "Don't you dare." I think he's mentally soft. I think, a couple weeks ago in the tournament where people were yelling, "Hey, good job," or Brooksy towards him.
Yeah.
And, obviously. And he was like, "I didn't tell them to kick anybody out." But he also just let these officials kick out fans for saying the word Brooksy to him. If I'm him and I'm mentally good with myself and I'm in a good spot and I'm not letting that affect me, I'm going to be like, don't kick those fans out. Leave them here. They're fine. It doesn't bother me. And then we'll move on with their day. And then they wouldn't do it again. No one would get kicked out for saying the words Brooksy. It was funny. He just seems mentally... Seems like the Kevin Durant of golf to me. Although Kevin Durant balled out last night, I will give him that. But Bryson just seems. To me, Bryson had his guys tell the PGA officials, "Don't you dare pair Brooks." I think Brooks would have welcomed it. I think Brooks would have been like, "Yeah, let's do it." But I think Bryson wanted no part of it, and that's why if you want to make a prop bet this weekend, you can bet on who finishes better between Bryson and Brooks. And I guarantee that bet's getting just pounded because people want to watch it. I would take Brooks in a second. I would take Brooks. I'm in a pool where you choose 5 golfers and then 6 as a tiebreaker. Any 5 golfers. I got Brooks. I don't have Bryson. Obviously, I got to go with John Rahm. Dude's on fire. Prior to his COVID positive test at Memorial, he was up 6 strokes, dominating. He's playing out of lights out. I got Xander Schauffele. One of the, just solid. He's played so well. He's from California. These POA greens that are a little different grass and different from a lot of the other country as far as putting wise. He knows how to play on. He finally had a good result. So they play. This one's at Torrey Pines in San Diego. It's U.S. Open. Second time it's been there. Last time was like 2008, I believe. Actually, Tiger won that one. And so they have a tournament at Torrey every year, early in the year, Farmers Open. And Xander finally played well this year at it. He just dominates at the toughest of courses. I like him a lot. I like everyone's least favorite golfer, Patrick Reed. He's on my team. He won the Farmers this year, so he won at Torrey Pines this year already. My concern with him is he doesn't have a huge driving distance, which you'll need, but the rough here is insane. They've let the rough grow out so much. I saw a video today of a guy just throwing the ball, 5 yards in front of him just from the rough, and you can't see the ball anymore. Like, it's that deep. So getting in the fairways is why I like and having good ball striking. The best ball striker right now on tour, especially with irons, is Colin Morikawa, who's won, a PGA Championship, and his downfall is his putting. But if he can get his putter going, his ball striking is better than anybody. And then my boy on tour that I'm riding with, I ride or die with all the time, who constantly gets top tens in majors, but has never won a tournament on tour. But he's one of the best golfers in the world, is Tony Finau. I can't even tell you why I like him so much, but in 4 of his last 5 majors, he's finished in the top 10. So if you want to ride a guy to get top 10, he's a guy I like a lot. If he can start making those 5 to 10 foot putts that he just doesn't seem to make when he's on a roll, he'll really be in contention here. But I love Tony Finau. A dark horse that I like that a buddy of mine sold me on was Justin Rose. Justin Rose, who's won here a couple times at Torrey, plays really well, finished well here. He won in 2019, didn't play this year, but really seems to putt well at the POA greens and grass. And his ball striking has a lot to be desired, but he's probably the best putter on tour. So if he gets hot with that putter and he can actually just keep the ball in the short stuff, he's going to be in contention for sure. He was leading the Masters after the first 2 rounds this year. So he's a guy to watch for who has he's 60-1 to win. So he's the dark horse. Everyone wants to talk about Phil. What is Phil's chances here? He's from San Diego. This is a hometown course that he's never played well at, though. But he says he's taken 2 weeks to really focus and harness, and he's put his phone aside and he's just focused and I don't think this is the tournament for Phil. You got to be super long. Not that he's not long, he absolutely can be long, but his biggest downfall is his off the tee. I think he's going to be in this long rough a lot, and it's way less forgiving than the PGA Championship at Kiowa on the Ocean Course. So I think once he gets in that rough a lot, he's going to get frustrated and things are going to head downhill for him. So I also will say that I'm not a Phil. He's grown on me, but he's not my favorite player. He used to be my least favorite player on tour. He's not anymore. Bryson is. So congratulations, Bryson.
Now, he did shock a lot of people and made a lot of people some money who bet on him.
Yeah.
So
yeah, real dumb bet, but congratulations on making that money.
Isn't it crazy?
Guy hadn't finished top 20 in a tournament forever, and then you're betting on him to win the PGA Championship. That's a really stupid bet that's rewarded, and I guarantee those guys who bet on him will lose that money very soon betting on sports.
Isn't it crazy, those long shots that people bet on? Is just wild. But yeah, I think there's a lot of storylines. I'm gonna have to definitely pick your brain. Let me know. Let us know in chat, by the way, if you would ever like to see more of the betting aspect of golf and maybe some of these other sports, because obviously I like to gamble quite a bit. Scotty likes to gamble a little bit on some golf and some different things. So if you guys are interested in that, hit us up in the chat, and then maybe we can do a little special, maybe a quick hour or half-hour special at some point during the week, and maybe do a quick betting special where we just talk strictly betting and what we like and what we don't like for major events coming up. So that's another thing. Let us know if you'd be interested, and we can maybe help you win you some money, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that would be super, super fun for us. And, Scott, maybe we just do that in general. But Brooks Koepka, man, I'm rooting for, I just love these pictures of him. He wears it all on his sleeve. It's just all out there. And I just love the fact that he doesn't hide it. That's what I love about it. That's what
I don't think he cares. I think Bryson hates this. I think he hates it.
Bryson's like that preppy guy in high school that you just like always like never really got into liking, and you just wanted to punch him in the face, and that's it. Like you just want to leave it there. I don't know. It's just it is what it is. But yeah, I'll be picking your brain a little bit more, and we'll be getting more into some U.S. golf, U.S. Open golf coming up here really quickly. So keep your eyes on that tournament. Have some fun with it, and yeah. We'll probably cover a little bit of that on Sunday. So, all right, that wraps up all of our news top stories of the week. Thank you guys for being around up to this point and continuing on. We have a lot more to show, guys, so don't leave quite yet. If you're here, hit that follow button if you love the content, if you're enjoying everything, and obviously we want you to just throw all your commentary into the chat. So make sure you're throwing that in there so we can have some fun with you guys as well. But let's move on. We have some big stuff to talk about here when it comes to the Euro, and we're gonna save a little bit of this NHL and NBA stuff here. So let's put that away for a minute, and let's start with some Euro 2020 here. We have a lot to cover, and this is kicked off. By the way, in case you're confused on this Euro 2020, it's 2021, right, Scotty? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I even corrected you. I didn't I don't know. Just change it to 2021. It is. I understand. Yeah. So the confusion is this tournament was supposed to obviously take place last year in 2020, and if you were cryogenically frozen last year and just woke up, we had a pandemic. There was things going on, so they canceled a bunch of stuff. You just stayed home for a year. So way to be cryogenically frozen. That was a good year to do it. So well done. However, they're still calling it the Euro 2020. Apparently they had made too many t-shirts, too many advertisements. I don't know.
It's costly,
but
man.
They're still rolling with it. So we're talking about the Euro 2020 in 2021.
Yep. So we are already in the mix of it, right? We have all of our group stages here set, and we've gotten through some of these games, and some of these are a little bit surprising, some of them may not be. So we wanted to dive in and give you guys a little love. We had our last stream, we had 666 come in and just talk a lot of soccer with us, and give us a little bit. He's Manchester, so we wanted to give him a little love and talk some sports here, talk some soccer. But I mean, this is a big time tournament, so
huge.
I mean, this is one of the biggest premier tournaments in the world when it comes to soccer, football. So we wanted to make sure we covered a little bit of this, and we're going to be following this throughout the course of this tournament. Now, we're just still in the group stages, so it's like a round robin. Everyone's kind of playing each other, kind of like a World Cup if you're not super familiar with the Euro 2020. So all the best teams, national teams in Europe compete in this. They had to qualify and get in. So this is what we're, this is what we're left with here. We have 6 groups comprising of various countries throughout the European side of soccer, and we're going to kind of dive in and see who we like out of these different the regions and who we like to come out of this. And again, we're going to track all this as we go through it. But let's dive in. We had some actually matches today. So Turkey ended up losing to Wales, which was kind of a surprise. A lot of people had Turkey here. Italy got a big win today as well. And I was actually watching that Portugal game yesterday, which that was a crazy one. Portugal ended up escaping with a win against Hungary. Hungary. And I was actually surprised that it was 0-0 going into like I believe it was the 80th minute. And all of a sudden it finished. The finish. Did you watch the end of that? It was absolutely insane.
I saw the highlights. I haven't been able to watch a ton of these games. The one I watched the whole way through, I made it a point of, was France-Germany right after that.
I missed that one. I was jealous that you got to see. Yeah, I'm jealous you got to see
it. I wanted to watch France-Germany for sure. I felt like that was, of all these group stage matches, that was maybe the one I wanted to watch the most. Super fun game to watch. I felt like both teams kind of got after it. France ended up winning 1-0 in a game. They actually scored 2 more goals that were taken away for offsides, and a couple of them were real close. And one of the goals was just a world-class goal from Mbappe, one of the greatest players in the world, where he just sat there and then like bended it around and it hit the inside of the post and went in. Super fun to watch. But the goal itself was a bad own goal on Germany, but France outplayed Germany in this one. I thought this one would go back and forth. France was clearly had the better opportunities. Germany had a couple opportunities, but mostly was forced outside and couldn't get the ball in the middle of the field like they wanted to, and had to cross it over and weren't able to finish. They had one really, really good opportunity they almost finished on that just went over the crossbar. But overall, the game was a lot of fun to watch. I feel like it wasn't spent in the middle part of the field a lot, so it was kind of back and forth. But overall, I think France outplayed them and deserved the win that they got in that one. But we can dive into each group here. We have our first team that's qualified for moving on today.
Yeah,
Italy.
Yeah, Italy was the first team to move forward. Now, going back to that group that you were just discussing, that Group F, Portugal, France, Germany.
Group of death.
That's a hell of a group there. I think that's the strongest group of this entire European Championship table.
Absolutely.
And, even Portugal, I thought Portugal, actually, I was surprised they struggled as much as they did with Hungary throughout the course of that match, which is why I'm not, even though they're leading in the top of this with, they have points, 3 points tied with France at the top. I still don't think that they got a little bit of ways to go if they're struggling against a team like Hungary, who, obviously they came on strong at the end. By the way, in that game, Cristiano Ronaldo ended up getting the most goals passing for the record in international play at that point. So he got a little bit of a record there. He ended up getting 2 goals because he ended up getting a penalty kick late in the game. But again, if you were watching that game, I was watching it because I put some money on Portugal to win just outright, and it was going into the final 10 minutes, and it was tied 0-0, and I was like, what is happening? Why is this an issue? And then it ended up just being a blowout. That game was not as close as it indicated. It was definitely a close game all the way through. But France and Germany's not a slouch either. That was a close game. That was a nice win by France. I think France is really, really strong. I think they'll come out of this group as well. But what do you think? Honestly, I think Portugal's already got a nice little lead here, so I think they have a good chance of coming out of this group as well. But they still got to play.
They got to play France and Germany.
I think the Germany game is going to be the biggest one for them. I don't know if they can last with France. I don't think that's something that they can, stick up with. So I think Portugal struggles against France. Germany's going to be a tough one for them. So who knows? I think we're counting out Hungary for good reason. I don't think they're going to be around for this one. But who do you think comes out of this group?
That Group F is tough. I feel like, to me, Portugal is always hyped and kind of underachieves, at least in World Cups.
I agree.
Never really fulfills on the promise, and I think they're hyped a little bit because of Cristiano Ronaldo. They have a lot of other good pieces. They just haven't lived up to the billing. At least in the World Cup. In the, UEFA Euro Cup, they have a little bit better results, but they are the number 5 team in the world. France is the number 2 team in the world according to FIFA rankings. Germany's 12. So that's 3 of the top 12 teams in the world in one bracket in this Euro Cup, which is just insane to have. Yeah. I don't know. I think you're right. France, especially after getting a win against Germany, is going to move through. Portugal versus Germany is going to be the game that decides it. If Portugal can get a tie there after their 3-0 win against Hungary, I feel pretty good about them at least moving on if they can get a tie against Germany. But that's going to be the deciding game. That one's tough. I think that group's the toughest to call because there's 3 really, really, really talented teams there that are elite. So we'll have to see what happens. Group A and Group B, some of them have played a couple games. Belgium they've only played 1, but they look really, really good after a 3-0 win in their first one against Russia, who ended up then winning their second game today. So Russia actually Has a win and a loss, but lost 3-0 to Belgium. Belgium is the number 1 team in the world according to FIFA rankings.
Yep.
They're really dangerous, really, really dangerous. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, England had a little bit of a scare in their first game, but got out with a 1-0 win. So we'll see what happens with them after beating Croatia 1-0, who might have been their toughest competition. Czech Republic will be a little tough too. And Scotland didn't really show up for that first matchup against Czech Republic, losing 2-0. So a lot of interesting soccer to go. Can't wait to watch a lot of this. And once we get through this bracket round, really dive in and be able to watch some more of these games. It's just hard. They're on in the middle of the day here. I got to do my job. So
no, it makes sense. It makes sense. But I will say, I was watching actually some of the Group E. So Group E, you had the Spain, that whole group there. You got Spain, Sweden, Poland, and Slovakia. Now, I was watching some of that Spain game, and the Spain was an interesting one because obviously Spain has an interesting way of playing. I'm a big fan of Spain, and they just control the balls, short passes throughout. They just like to just maintain that possession throughout the course of the entire length of the field, especially in the opposing half. And I felt like they just, they're very methodical, but at the same time, they need to be more aggressive pushing forward. So they ended up getting a draw against Sweden, which I thought was like, that's a bad
result.
It's a bad result.
Sweden's a good team, but they need to get a win against Sweden.
Sure. And I 100% agree with that. It was just one of those things where I was just waiting. I was like, all right, when are you going to make your move? When are you going to make your move? That's kind of the trend for watching Spain football at this point, because they take their time. Now, Spain's ranked 6th in the world, and Sweden, I think, is ranked, I want to say 18th.
18, yep.
So at that point, it's like, when you're that much better than another country in the EuroLeague, you need to start getting some solid, pressure on the opposing team, especially if you're that much better. And I just didn't see that from Spain. I felt like they were just very hands off when it came to just pushing the ball upfield. And again, that's just how that's the methodology that they've always had. And it is a beautiful way of playing football. Like it's a beautiful way of playing the game. And I'm a patient person, but maybe you have to have some patience with that, with that style of play.
Listen, when you have the ball, you're not going to give up goals. So in that sense, it makes a lot of sense. And they gave up 0 goals in this game. The problem is when you're just passing it around and dinking around, like, eventually you got to do something with it. You got to create opportunities. You got to, and Sweden's keeper, especially in the early on in the game, I think like the 19th minute or something, made a really, really nice save on a good opportunity, but didn't have to make a ton of nice saves against the Spain team that should have created a lot of opportunities when you have the ball that much, like they always do. And sometimes it's worked. Obviously, they've won a World Cup in recent history. Didn't fare nearly as well in the last World Cup. So this team seems like it's not quite to the level of a Spain that we're accustomed to over the last, 8 years or 10 years or whatever. But still talented enough where they should be beating a Sweden team. So those two might be the top 2 teams in that group. So they still might both move on. Although Poland, I think, will have something to say about it.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens there.
Look at this though. Possession 86% to 14%. Pass accuracy,
Wild.
90% pass accuracy for Spain, 54% for Sweden. It was just like shots total 17 for Spain, 4 for Sweden. Shots on target 5 for Spain, 1 for Sweden. Possession 86% Spain. So, I mean,
if you have the ball 86% of a game, you have to have more than 5 shots on goal.
Exactly. That was my biggest red flag with Spain in this one, because I was just like, you got to be able to create some opportunities on the offensive side of the ball. Like when you have the ball that long, and it seemed like they were just stalling out. And so that was just my just 2 cents.
Might have to institute a shot clock when Spain's playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out of the question there. In other groups, we have England on top of the Group D, tied with Czech Republic, both with wins in their first 2 games. So they are in the driver's seat at that point. Croatia and Scotland kind of in catch-up mode there. Group C, you have Austria and Netherlands at the top, both with wins over Ukraine and North Macedonia. North Macedonia is probably not as strong of a team here in this group, so I don't expect them to move on here. But Austria and Netherlands coming out.
I didn't even know Macedonia was big enough to be broken into like North and South.
I was actually not sure what
news to me.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what their flag even looked like. Now I know. So there you go. And then I don't know, man. Belgium. If you're looking at a team that I don't know what the odds are in Vegas on Euro, who the top is, but Belgium, man, they looked pretty good, man. They look pretty good. I will say, again, they have a long way to go. Russia played well. Finland, Denmark, they're the class of that Group B. So we'll see what ends up happening there.
And they got helped by Denmark losing to Finland, which was actually Denmark losing. Oh, I'm sorry, Denmark lost. Yeah, they lost to Finland. Denmark somehow lost to Finland, which should not have had. Denmark is actually the number 10 ranked team in FIFA rankings. Finland, Finland's like, I'm scrolling. They're not in the top 50. So that was a huge upset. So in that region, Belgium can basically walk away with the 1 seed. Denmark losing to Finland. Now Russia beating Finland today. Now Belgium plays Denmark with a win, is already wrapped up the number 1 seed, I believe. So yeah, they're going to be in good shape moving on to that playoff round after the group stage. When we get to the final, what is it? Does it go to? I actually don't know how it works.
So
sounds bad.
No. I believe
top 2. I know it's top 2 in every.
And then they move on from there.
No, it's 4 best third place also make it, because they go to a round of 16. So it's just like the World Cup.
Yeah.
Or similar. So the 4 third place teams also make it. So actually makes it so 16 of the 24 teams make it to the next round, which means some of these group stages aren't that meaningful, because if you're a really good team, you're pretty much assured that you're going to make it.
Yeah. So, all right, so let's pick the team that's popping off of that's going to be eliminated from each one. Let's just do our predictions. So, I got probably Hungary's not going to make it out of Group F. Let's see. Of all of these, Slovakia in Group E is already kind of ahead, so I would put Poland's not a team to really just count out at this point. So, but at the same time, that loss early on is really tough.
To Slovakia kills them.
A loss to Slovakia kills them. So Poland, I want to say they're the outside looking in. I don't see Sweden struggling. Sweden's a strong team as well, and Slovakia already has a heads up. So I think Poland might be on the outside looking in there. Group D, I think if you're looking at these 3 teams, Scotland is definitely one of the teams that's probably on the outside looking in here. North Macedonia in Group C is definitely on my list of not making it through this round here. The next one, I would say, as weird.
Finland and Denmark might be on the way out. I think both of them might be on the way out.
Yeah, I don't know. This one, even though I don't know. This one's a tougher one to kind of sort through here, but Denmark already is really far behind here. Everyone in the group has 3 points except for Denmark, so they're kind of on the. They have some catching up to do, but it's doable. They really need to put in some work here. So we'll see. Denmark, I think Finland's actually gonna maybe drop a little bit. I don't know. That one's a tougher one to choose. And then lastly, I would normally say Wales is going to be on the way out of this one. I was curious to see whether or not Wales would be even in the conversation coming out of this group until I saw the fact that they won over
They're
Turkey.
already in. They're already in.
And like, I can't believe it. Like, I can't believe they already.
I mean, they're not officially in, but they've got 4 points after 2 games. Like, they're in real good shape.
Turkey's looking rough right now. So that's what
Turkey's struggling. Turkey and Switzerland might be out there because Switzerland only has a point after 2 games. So that might be one where you have two teams out with only Wales and Italy moving on.
By the way, I don't know if I know this, Scotty. What is your international team outside of the USA, obviously? What is your international team that you follow that you root for, like World Cup wise, when the USA usually is out of it?
Probably England.
Okay.
Just the EPL and names, especially when I was younger, and the names, like I was a big like Michael Owen guy back in the day, scoring goals, and probably England's the team I would root for the most after. I mean, it's a distant second to the US. I'm certainly a big US fan, but England would probably be number 2 for me. You're Spain? I feel like you might be Spain.
I'm a Spain. Yep. I'm a big Spain guy because I definitely I have Spain roots with my mom's side of the family, and that's kind of like the deepest roots I have with. I mean, I have a little of I'm Spanish and Italian, so Italy is another like one that I could root for, but I feel like I've had more of a connection with like Spain more so than Italy. So I've always gravitated more towards Spain. Spain has always been historically a really solid team as well. So that's just kind of the way I root for Italy too. But Spain, if I had choice between the two, I'd root for Spain. So that's just kind of.
I just like to choose teams that classically underachieve. So I go U.S. and England.
Obviously, both of us go U.S. over all those teams, and we just haven't had much to cheer for over the course of the last.
Let's just focus on
lifetime.
making a World Cup. It was so depressing to not make the World Cup. So embarrassing when we're in a region that should be automatic every year.
By the way, I have
every tournament.
One of my favorite moments of all time is actually during a World Cup when I was in college. The earliest I've ever like gone to a bar and started drinking was I think like 6 a.m. and it was that World Cup where the Team USA made it and Landon Donovan hit that goal, that game-winning goal.
Yep.
I don't even remember who it was against. I was completely hammered.
I know what you're talking about, but you're right. I don't remember.
I was at a bar called Crocs downtown. If you remember Crocs.
I think it's closed now, but yeah.
It's closed. It's not even in existence anymore. But they had a buffet there, and they had like a wristband where you can get all you can drink, like not all you can drink. You had like 5 free drinks, and entry was like $10. And we were down there. We were gonna go to Bronze, right next to Pepsi Center, but then they were closed, even though they were advertising we have all the games here.
Also, no longer in existence.
Also, no, none of these bars are in existence anymore. We're in Denver, by the way, for all you guys who are watching in the Twitch and YouTube and Facebook world. And I remember going and watching that game and just losing my mind and leaving the bar. It was a weekday. It was like a Thursday or something. And we left the bar and we were hammered, and I had tequila gear on. I had necklaces and beads and everything. And we were cheering, and there were people going to work. It was like 7:30 a.m., and people were still on the way to work. Oh, it was one of the best. I mean, soccer brings the best out of people, right, Scotty?
Oh, yeah. No, I love the World Cup when you have the weird times, and you're just, man, it's so much fun. So much fun. I've had so many memories of going to bars for different games. My craziest day was actually when they lost in the round of 16 to Ghana. I'm trying to remember how many years ago. That was probably now 12 years ago. 11. It'll be 12 next year. Where oh my gosh, we played Ghana early in the morning. Went downtown with some buddies, a couple of my brothers and another guy, and oh my gosh, we were downtown. They lost, so it was a little sad. They were eliminated from the World Cup. But we kept the party going, and it was one of the crazier days of my life. We got kicked out of a certain... Well, one of us got kicked out of a certain venue. and it was a wild day. Like, it's a lot of fun. Like, it's passionate, and it's kind of fun because, like, in America, like, a lot of times the games take place early in the morning, and it's just like super passionate.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even when I went to Miami actually randomly for the Super Bowl a couple years ago when the Chiefs were playing, we randomly were walking down the Miami boardwalk, found really just needed to go to the bathroom. We found this Irish pub, went in there early in the morning. It was packed to the brim. They were watching soccer, watching rugby, and it was like lit in there, and it was like 9 a.m. And we're like, all right, let's just stay here. Let's have some drinks here. Like, let's get some Guinness. Let's party with these people. This seems laid back, like our style, and a lot of fun, and they're passionate. So we stayed there for a little bit, even though I was rocking like Chiefs gear and whatever.
All right, promise me this. We need to go to like the English Bulldog or somewhere downtown one weekend. Just get up early and just catch some games. Let's just do it. One time coming up here. I'd love it. Even for Euro. Let's plan for a Euro. Let's go down to grab some drinks, go and catch some of these games, and then we'll maybe we'll do the live commentary from the bar itself.
Sounds dangerous.
Action Lab live commentary. I mean, those are the most lit atmospheres you can possibly be a part of when it's the right game, you know? So lots of be excited about for Euro 2020. If you're not into soccer, this is a great time to kind of get, especially with the World Cup coming up here very soon. This is a nice little snapshot of what you can expect for the World Cup. So, starting to get familiar with the players, starting to get, a little bit of, foundation for world soccer. This is a great way to do it. So keep an eye on this, guys. I'm telling you, it's worth watching. Don't, kick the Major League Soccer to the side, kick all those others. Just watch some of this. You won't be disappointed. I'll tell you that. But we still have a lot to cover here. We have a little bit of time left in the show, so we want to cover some NBA and NHL here. So let's go ahead. I
just saw a crazy NBA score. I was confused when I saw it.
Should we talk about that? Let's talk about that right now.
Yeah. So when we started this show, I believe Philadelphia was up 20 plus points in the third quarter on Atlanta, and entered the fourth quarter up 18 points on Atlanta. Got outscored 40-19 in the fourth. Oh. Lost 109-106. Philadelphia just choked away Game 5. I feel like they choked away Game 4. They choke away Game 5. And all of a sudden, Atlanta is up 3 games to 2 on Philadelphia.
Unreal.
Like, how do you get outscored 40-19 in the fourth on your home court when you're the number 1 seed in the East? Like this, obviously we didn't see it, we didn't watch it.
It crazy.
Looks like, I'm looking at the box score. Embiid went for 37. Curry went for 36. Everyone else, the most anyone else, I'll do the combined 16, 20, 26, 31. Combined, the rest of the team scored 33. So no one more than 8. Tobias Harris was a disaster. Everyone else was just a disaster. I just can't fathom, and we missed it, so I don't know what happened. Outside of Trae Young went for 39. He had 19 free throw attempts, 17 of 19 from the line. Spent a lot of time there. Wow. I didn't know. Once when we started this show, I'm like, well, that game's over.
Yeah,
that game's
what I
done
thought too. Keep it rolling, Scotty.
And here we are.
I'll be right back. Keep it rolling on this, and then I'll touch base here in a sec.
Yeah, so 40-19 in the fourth. Atlanta takes a 3-2 lead, gets to go home for Game 6 with all the momentum in this series. Like, Philadelphia has to be dejected at this point. Like, let me know, you guys. Like, seriously, this game's wild to me that this could have happened. If any of you watched it, let me know, like, what went down. How did Philadelphia collapse in the way that they did, because they were in complete control of this game. and needed this one quite a bit. Like, I thought this would wrap up in 5 when we were talking on Sunday, and I feel like it still should have. Philadelphia should have taken game 4, choked that away when Embiid went 0 for 12 in the second half. I was like, he'll never do that again. They'll get game 5 and they'll move on from there. Here we are. Atlanta Hawks, 41-31 on the season. All of a sudden with a 3-2 lead and we're going to dive into this, but the NBA is kind of like a last man standing because there has been injury after injury after injury. The star players are dropping like flies. It's been insane. If you guys haven't seen it in the news recently, haven't noticed it, obviously tonight, right now, Utah and LA Clippers are playing right now. Utah holds a 56-46 lead in a 2-2 series there. LA Clippers playing without Kawhi Leonard and likely, sounds like maybe playing without Kawhi Leonard for the rest of the playoffs. There might be some ACL issues with Kawhi Leonard.
Keeping it hush-hush.
We have, obviously, Utah is still without Mike Conley, who's injured. But obviously on the east side, we have, the Nets, who Harden came back, but Harden was the worst player in the court in the last game, and they still pulled out a victory due to Kevin Durant just having one of the best games of his career and one of the best performances we've seen in the playoffs in quite a long time to take that 3-2 lead, holding on as Kyrie Irving obviously is out with an ankle. These teams are just falling down with injury after injury, and I can't figure out. I mean, obviously we've talked about like the quick turnaround from last season and how that's impacting guys, and it seems to just be hitting these star players in the playoffs a lot.
I mean, LeBron
health is going to be a huge factor. Don't say what you're about to say.
LeBron came out today and was talking a lot about this, about a lot of players that have been, and even before LeBron said anything, obviously we were saying a lot of things when this happened to early on in the playoffs. So we had Jamal Murray, we had a bunch of guys, Donovan Mitchell, and you had a bunch of stars. James Harden, Kyrie Irving has been kind of in and out of lineups. Even Kevin Durant's been in and out of the lineup over the course of the regular season for the Brooklyn Nets. There's just been so many injuries over the course of the season that, I'm kind of curious to see, the NBA is projected that they are going to try to start back up in October again, which is going to be another short, quick turnaround when it comes to the offseason, right? Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to have another impact because there are still guys that are still getting surgeries and things right now at the end of this season that will not be available for a majority of next season, like the third or halfway through the season, especially in like Jamal Murray's for the Denver Nuggets. But it's just kind of one of those things where I wonder how much, it's going to take a minute to get back on track, I think. And the NBA, I don't know, their hands are a little bit tied. They want to be back on that same time frame, but you're seeing a lot of players. I mean, Joel Embiid is having some issues with some injuries and things. And, across the board, you're not seeing Kawhi Leonard's not in. I mean, it's almost an epidemic in the NBA, the fact that they're not able to keep a lot of the big time players in. The ratings are hurting for sure. I don't even need to see the ratings to know that they're probably not going to be where they're supposed to be. But man, it's wild how many players are missing. But I mean, that's just the product.
Game moves on.
Yeah,
it moves on. I don't know what LeBron wanted him to do. Do you want a 50-game season? These owners lost revenue last year. They need to get some of that revenue back. You can't just cut the season. They already cut it by 10 games. You can't have a season where they're still not getting attendance. They didn't get attendance in the stands for a large portion of it. It's a business. And yes, these injuries suck. And he might have been this is going to happen. Mostly because he's soft. And I don't even think he'd be talking about it if his own teammate didn't get hurt. He'd be like, oh, I don't care. But his own teammate getting hurt. And he's like, see, we're ruining the game because if we were healthy, we would have won it. I hate him so much.
So, I mean, I'm looking at some of these stats here for this Atlanta Hawks game here. Again, 109-106 was the final.
Yep.
And as far as field goal percentage, about the same. 3-point percentage, 34 to 43%. So, that's not super far off. Free throw percentage, Philadelphia, 23 of 38. If you want to look at where this team maybe went wrong, might be that.
I'm not even looking, but that's probably all Simmons.
I want you to look that here. Hold on, wait. I'll even look it up.
Now I'm looking. Oh yeah, he was 4 of 14.
Oh my gosh.
4 of 14.
4 of 14. So
15 of their misses. 15 misses. 10 of them were Ben Simmons.
If you hit your free throws, you win the game. You have one job in this league, Scotty.
Like, I feel like I don't know when those free throws occur, but if those were happening in the fourth quarter, they should have sat him. They should have sat him. You can't have a guy in the court that can just get fouled, and your best case scenario is you maybe get 1 point out of that possession, but very likely 0, and no time off the clock. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. Ben Simmons, it's not like they needed him. He took 4 shots in this game. He took 14 free throws. He was 2 of 4 from the field. He scored 8 points.
I'm looking at every other.
Get him off the court. Get him off the court. He's the most overrated guy in the world.
I'm looking across all the rest of the stats. All of them are very, very similar. Rebounds, 40 to 44. Offensive rebounds, 7 to 10. Assists, 20 to 14. A little bit of a discrepancy. Blocks, 6 to 4. Steals, 10 to 7. 11 to 15 in turnovers, so not a big discrepancy there. Points in the paint, 30 to 34. I mean, it comes down to free throws. Everything else across the board, stat-wise, is very, very similar to each other throughout the course of this game. And free throws were the biggest decider here. I mean, three-pointers, again, not super far off from each other. 46 to 45% in field goal percentage. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. How do you miss that many free throws? Unreal.
When you get in the playoffs where teams are really going to try and value possessions, and you can have a guy on the other team, if you're trailing and Ben Simmons is on the court, foul the man. Have a scrub out there that fouls him. Like, why? That's the best scenario for you. That's an incredible scenario. He's worse than Shaq from the line. He is worse than Shaq.
I just don't understand.
At least Shaq, when he's out there, is dominating play. This dude took 4 shots in the game. 4.
I wish.
He made 2 shots from the field, and 4 of 14 from the line. Listen, Tobias Harris, who's been playing great, had a garbage game. But, yeah, Deb in the chat, Mayday has lost his mind. Yeah. Like, someone, we don't have a way of contacting him, but someone, I hope his friends are out there being like, hey, are you okay? Because I'm worried about him right now. I'm worried about him.
He's a suicide watch or something out there.
I didn't want to say a word, but yeah, someone needs to be on suicide watch for him.
I was literally about to say exactly what Deb said in the chat right before she said it. I was like, man, I wish Mayday was here. I wish he was here to just describe to us how he felt. By the way, if you're here, we have a follower here that just always is tuning into the channel. Philadelphia fan, huge fan, and he is all about the 76ers, Philadelphia Phillies, the Eagles, all the way through. And he hasn't been on tonight for very particular reason, potentially, and that's because the 76ers may have. I would love to get his take on this. I mean, do you keep a? I mean, first of all, you can't be a star in this league and be that bad. I mean, I guess Shaq was a little bit. That kind of counts, but
Shaq was so much more dominant.
Shaq was so much more dominant. Absolutely. So that's where I'm having trouble connecting those dots. But man, Mayday, where are you at? I want to talk to you about some things.
Ben Simmons, in the course of the postseason, has averaged 13.8 points. 8.2 rebounds and 8.8 assists, which is fine, but he's basically their point guard, and he gets rebounds. To me, is an overrated stat. Like,
he's a liability.
If he doesn't get the rebound, someone else probably will on their team. It's just about positioning and sometimes about size. He's a bigger guy, but man,
he's a liability. He is a liability in the series. He can single-handedly. By the way, we talked about this in the other game that they lost, right? That 103-100 final that tied the series. Free throws came into play there too. It's not just one game. It's multiple games. So hopefully they can get that corrected, because obviously they're on the brink right now. They're down 3-2, and they're going back to Atlanta.
If they lose this series to Atlanta, I feel like it might. You got to break it up. You got to tear it apart. You're keeping Embiid, and everyone else is in play, and you got to do something different. You got to shake it up, because it's not working.
No.
And to lose to an Atlanta team that's, let's be honest, not a very good team. Not a very good team at all. Like, most NBA fans couldn't name more than Trae Young on their team. They'd be like, who else is on Atlanta? I don't know. Like, Atlanta's not good.
I mean, I could name a handful, but I'm a bigger NBA fan. But yeah, you're right. You're right.
But the casual NBA fans, like, oh yeah, they have Trae Young. I don't know who else they have.
That's about it.
Do they have other guys? I don't know. Well, so this is inexcusable.
This is a big series here. We'll see how this ends up playing out. But let's go into that other one tonight. We had one other game going on, and that is the Utah and the LA Clippers. So this game currently right now live 62-56. The Utah Jazz are in the lead here. I actually was going to bet this one in favor of the Jazz prior to actually the Kawhi news, because I figured Utah Jazz are really good at home. They play at a high level at home. That's a hard place to play in the NBA when it comes to home court advantage. And I was going to actually I think it was like 3 at one point when it opened, and I was like, man, 3 looks amazing. That means, by the way, if you're not familiar with betting, the Jazz were favored by 3 at home, and that was it. That was prior to the Kawhi Leonard news, and then it jacked up as soon as Kawhi Leonard was out to 7.5 instantly. I think it might have closed around 8.5 if I'm not mistaken, but I digress.
This game's been. I'm looking at the box score. I haven't watched it. It's been wild.
Yeah, and I'm still keeping track of it too. My biggest question coming into this game was how playoff P would show up, because he's the only guy left, right? He's the only guy that's going to be available to really combat and be the leader for this team. Right now, he is 20 points, 8 rebounds. I need to pull up the complete box score to see,
he's 8 of 13 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. Like, he's played well. He's played well.
So
20 points.
He's stepping up when he needs to. So, give him props for that, and he's keeping it close here. But from that standpoint,
I feel like both of these teams, as I look at the box score, are doing things offensively that are incredibly unsustainable. From a Clippers team that's very limited offensively, to have 56 points with 2:27 left, you have Paul George, and then you look at the rest of their lineup, and it's like, yikes. Reggie Jackson, fine. Fine. Marcus Morris has played pretty well at times, but he's basically just a spot-up guy. It's wild. They're 54% from the field, 47 from 3, making 8 threes. In the first half, the Jazz are 22 of 33 from the field. Of their 22 makes, 16 are from three-point range. 16 of their 22 makes are from 3, which is an insane number for a half. Bogdanovich is 7 of 11. He's taken 11 three-point attempts, made 7. He's on fire. Donovan Mitchell's been weirdly quiet. Only 3 attempts, 2 of 3 from 3. Those are his only 3 attempts, no free throws. He's been quiet. That's what kind of been weird, but they're 16 of 26 from 3 as a team in the first half. These numbers offensively for both teams are, I feel like, nope, now they're 17 of 27. Someone just made a 3 for the Jazz. Jordan Clarkson's 4 of 5 from 3 for the Jazz.
It was Bogdanovich, 8 of 12.
just insane. So I feel like something's got to give on both sides. Both teams are overachieving on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe no one's playing defense. I don't know, but something's got to give. Especially, the Jazz are a good 3-point shooting team, but not this good. And the Clippers' offense, without Kawhi Leonard, should be below league average.
I mean,
in my opinion,
yeah,
there's not a lot of pieces there.
I was gonna say this game started out as -3 for the Jazz. It closed at -8.5 for the Jazz before this game started. But Bogdanovic, remember when? By the way, when Bogdanovic was a free agent, I told you this. I was like,
I wanted him.
I wanted him more than anything in the world. I wanted him because that was one position on our team that we needed to fill a gap for, that we could never fill a gap for, and scoring wise, everything wise, I thought he was just a stud. And look what he's been doing all season long. I mean, he's that good. And right now, 8 of 12, 22 points right now, 19 minutes. 23 points. I'm sorry.
Eight threes in the first half. We'll have to see if that's some sort of record for a half in postseason play to hit 8 threes, because if it's not, it's close.
Yeah. By the way, I'm pretty impressed with Paul George carrying this team. This is not a Paul George we're used to seeing. I'll tell you that.
Not in the playoffs.
Not in the playoffs. This isn't.
At times in his Indiana days, he had some good playoff games, but yeah, no, playoff P's a joke.
But
not tonight.
32 points. He must have been inspired from the other night when KD went off for 49. He must have been inspired by that, because right now he's got 32 points with 26 seconds left in the first half. Like, he's putting this team on his back, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been a hater on Paul George. I've been clowning on him for a long time. He's proven himself right now. Let's see if he can maintain that throughout the course of the rest of this game. But he's going.
You're hoping he does. You don't want the Jazz to win here.
I don't want the Jazz to win. I don't know who I want to win this. I mean, you got people hurt in Brooklyn. I don't know. Like, Milwaukee's not a sexy pick, but like if they won, it would be
Let's call it. No one gets a championship this year.
Can we just stop the playoffs now?
Now that the Nuggets are out, we miss Murray.
Oh my god!
I miss Bubble Murray so much.
It's pretty rough right now. You just don't know what you're getting with the playoffs anymore. In the rest of this season, because there's so many injuries and things. Honestly, I don't know if let's go back real quick. I just want to go back here for a second and just talk about the Bucks series. All right, so when I was looking at this series, I was kind of back and forth. I was like, the minute Kyrie's out, which he's going to be for the rest of this series, is the minute I got the Bucks all the way through. And then they end up losing the game. They end up losing this last one, 114 to 108. And I'm just like, you just missed out on the biggest opportunity of your life to take control of this series, and you're doing it the hard way now. Like, you choked this away.
The Bucks are like, as a team, the playoff P of basketball.
They are.
The Bucks choke away in the playoffs. They underachieved. They had no business. Listen, Durant played phenomenal. All the props to him. The Bucks lost this game. Durant didn't win this game. The Bucks lost this game. If the Bucks could play at a decent level and play up to what they are and who they are through the regular season, they win this no problem. My biggest issue, Giannis, I believe, was first team all defense, right?
Yep.
How many minutes do you think he covered Durant as he was going off in this last game on defense?
I have no idea.
The answer is 0. The answer is 0.
I thought it was maybe a few minutes.
You have an elite wing, an MVP, who's first team all defense, and you have a guy on the other team, and Durant, the only weapon on that team, going off, and you don't put Giannis on him, and Giannis doesn't say, like, forget what you say, coach. I'm taking him. I'm going to shut him down. Like, we've given props to PJ Tucker for being aggressive, but PJ Tucker can only do
so much.
Like, he doesn't have the length or the size. Giannis has all that. Man up. You have underachieved in the playoffs. You've won 2 MVP trophies. You're first team all defense, and you are watching a guy destroy your team. And you're not going to take him? It's sad to me. Like, does he just not have that dog in him? I don't know.
I'm not going to lie.
Giannis better be covering him in game 6. That's what I'm gonna say. Maybe not the whole game, because you don't want Giannis to be exhausted on offense, because you need him on offense. But maybe not even the first half. But when you get into that fourth quarter and you need stops, and Durant's playing well, he needs to be on him. There's no excuses. No excuses.
I'm gonna tell you a hot take here. It might be a hot take. It might not be. I don't know. I don't know how Giannis has won an MVP in this league.
He's won 2.
I don't know how he's done it. Because
it's all numbers.
It's like I just don't understand how a guy could be that bad from the free throw line, that bad from a 3-point perspective. Like, if you look at the MVP race this year, you have Jokic, who does everything, and he's carried his team. And maybe he doesn't play as good of defense, right? He doesn't get the blocks. He doesn't get. I mean, he still gets some steals. He's fine there. But I don't know how Giannis has gotten MVP votes as much as he has throughout his career, and he's just like subpar in so many ways. Like his jump shooting, his 3-point shooting, there's just his free throws. There's so many flaws in his game. I think he might. I love the guy. I love him as a guy because he's you love to love the guy. He's a friendly, loving guy. But from a basketball standpoint, he's nowhere near the top echelon for me as people give him credit for. I don't know. Maybe that's just my eyeball test for me. I don't know.
I think like, listen, when you have a team finishing with like the best record in the NBA and you have Giannis putting up the stats that he did, voters just look at that and they're like, don't really have the eye test. They're like, yeah, this guy deserves the MVP. To me, I agree. Like, I think if these guys watch this guy play, everyone who voted in back-to-back years, and I'm not even saying they're wrong, because there was, like, Giannis was somewhat deserving based off his numbers and his availability and his team performance. Like, it makes sense. However, if you polled all the voters who voted for him as their number 1 MVP vote, if they had to choose 5 players in the NBA right now to have on their team for the playoffs, I don't think Giannis would be maybe on some of those, but very, very few of them. As a top 5 guy, much less an MVP. Like, he wouldn't be on my top 5. If I had to choose 5 guys I'd want on my team in the playoffs, Giannis wouldn't touch my top 5. He'd be like borderline top 10.
Yeah, he wouldn't be close for me. That I can tell you that right now. It would be,
and I probably think a little higher than him than you do, but he's still borderline top 10.
Yeah. It's strange to me how people love him as much as they do. Again, he's a talent. He's a worldwide talent. I'm not discrediting what he can do. I just think he has a lot of flaws in his game that I feel like a lot of other players in the league don't. Yep. So that's just my thing. I've been a little bit lower on him than most, but that's just the way I see it. But
Ben Simmons dreams of being a Giannis,
which is sad. That's the worst part. Devin chat, if the 76ers lose the next game, Mayday may not be back to the lab. I hope for that sake,
we would have to be sending out a legitimate Mayday. Like, Mayday is down. Someone help him.
We need to. So in that case, we have to have the Sixers win so we can get Mayday back in the lab. We can't do this show without you, Mayday. We got you. But
listen, he's a young, passionate kid. I've been there. It hurts a lot. I don't want to see that for him.
It's a bounce back. Bounce back. That's all. But let's touch on the NHL though. We have some. We covered a lot of the NBA. Let's talk some NHL here. The NHL is in a interesting place as well, because there's a lot going on here. So let me just refresh this, by the way. So again, Vegas Knights and the Canadians were in action tonight, and actually I haven't seen an update on that score. Scotty, what
I got you. Yep. 5:53. Nope. Now 5:21 left in the game in the third period. Canadians 3, Golden Knights 1, which is shocking.
All right, so
shocking.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this right now, and you know this about me quite a bit. You know I'm not a huge fan of teams that beat my team.
Yeah.
I'm usually against that. Like, usually there are people out there that are like, the team that beats me is the team that I want to win it all because I want to lose to the champion. I've never been a part of that mentality. I've always been like, no, F that team. I'm tired of them. They deserve to lose. I don't want to see them succeed.
Real quick, 7 seconds later, it's now 3-2. 5:14 left. Golden Knights just scored, so 3-2 game. So we got a tight one with five minutes to
So
go.
Canadians are up 3-2?
Yes.
Okay. So they need to continue to maintain this, but I've never been more of a Canadians fan than I have been this time. I'm looking for the long shots right now in the NHL. I'm looking for the Canadians and the Islanders to take.
We're
this.
Team Islanders. We're Team Islanders.
We are Team Islanders all the way. So I actually have some family out in Long Island that I really want to root for the Islanders. My cousin's kid, I think, is he played for the Islanders youth team, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but they're a big Islanders family. So go Islanders. Deb in chat, after taking out the Avs, they better freaking win. Who is it?
This
Canadians?
is no, she's talking about the golden. Well, actually, I guess I don't know for sure who she's. I thought I was leaning towards Vegas, but maybe not. Let us know, Deb.
Yeah. Let us know in chat. By the way, if you're in the chat right now, if you're watching the stream anywhere across all of our platforms, let's see. Oh, Vegas. After they better.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So that's a different mentality than you.
I'm across. I mean, they are a division. I wouldn't hate if they won, but I'm just like I hate. Like, actually, and that goes again. This is the weird year. So the Suns beat the Nuggets. I want the Suns to beat the Jazz. So that's the only.
I'll tell you, we're on the same page, and I'll tell you what you're missing on with your mentality.
Okay.
Because I think we're on the same page.
Let me know.
So with the Avs, I agree. I don't want to see Vegas win at all. And the difference with the Avs and Nuggets is, Avs, I felt like we generally felt had a really, really good, if not great shot.
They underachieved
at winning the Stanley Cup.
They underachieved.
We know they're a great team. So the fact that they lost, I don't need to be I don't need some other team to prove that, hey, we were really good. We just lost to the other best team. Right?
Yep.
I know that the Avs just underachieved. Whereas the Nuggets, we didn't think they were going to win it all, right? Especially, certainly after losing Murray. So in that sense, I would rather know, like, hey, we weren't the best team in the NBA. I know that. The team we lost to, Phoenix, I'd like to see them go far as a measuring stick for us of where we're at. So if you have aspirations of winning a championship and it's realistic aspirations like the Avalanche had, you don't want to see that team win. But if your team, like the Nuggets, who once losing their second best player, didn't probably have legitimate aspirations, you want that as a measuring stick of, all right, we lost to this team. How far does this team go? That's how I look at it. So it's all dependent on situations, on whether I'm choosing to root for the team we lost to, like the Suns. I don't know if I'm rooting for the Suns, but I'm not rooting actively against the Suns. Vegas can go fuck themselves. I'll be honest. I'm just gonna say that right now. Vegas go, like, I don't need to be like. There's no moral victories for the Avs at this point. They underachieved. They should have been. They were the odds-on favorite at the beginning of the season and throughout the year, and they underachieved. So I don't need a moral victory by watching the team they lost to win. I don't need to see that. So Vegas can go fuck themselves, and I'm on Team Canada. Let's go. We got 3:57 left. Still 3-2.
Team Canada, go Canadians, go Islanders. The Islanders in the other side of the bracket. The series is tied 1-1. So that one can go either way. The Islanders have been playing that series tough, though. They've been playing every series tough. So they ended up winning against the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-2. They won against the Bruins 4-2. I mean, it's only fitting that they beat the Lightning, defending champions, 4-2. But they've been playing strong. We said this early on. The Islanders grind out games. They can win with their goaltending and their defense, and they can grind out any opponent. So if that's the case, this is the series to do it. I have a feeling they're going to be representing the other side of this bracket in the Stanley Cup Finals, and I would be rooting for them 100% of the way. If you were to tell me who I would want to win out of these four teams, Islanders are by far my favorite in all of these four teams.
I don't even need any other team to win. We would just forfeit the season and stop talking about it on our show.
Absolutely. So, so that's where we're at with the NHL playoffs, the NBA playoffs. Let us know your thoughts on all this. Deb in chat, tell us how you really feel. No, we are telling you how we really feel, and it's.
I don't often drop the F-bomb, but I did it tonight. I did it.
Hey, you feel strong. You have a couple drinks in you, and you're feeling good. That's just kind of how it rolls. But So, man, it's been a hell of a show. We've had a lot to cover here, and between all of our top stories, between all the Euro 2020s. Which, by the way, if you're not watching Euro 2020, Deb, Belly, all of you guys in chat. If you're not watching those, go in and watch during the day. It's usually on ESPN. They have some games. Check out some of those games. They're really, really fun to watch. And then you hit those goals, and it's just the right time. Man, it's magic. So watch those. That way, we can keep up with all the action going on throughout the course of the Euro 2020s, and we can make sure that you guys are all up to speed, especially getting ready for the World Cup. World Cup is by far my favorite event in sports across the board. I've told you this, Scotty. We've mentioned on the show. That's my favorite event in sports, no matter what.
It's a great one.
World Cup is huge. So make sure, you're getting a little preview of all that. It's a lot of fun. Now, we'll keep you posted on all of the updates. We're Wednesday. We're 2 days away from the weekend. And then we're going to get you through on Sunday to get you all of the updates you need on local sports, plus all the updates on Euro 2020 and NBA and NHL playoffs. So I think we're going to have a couple new segments coming up here in the next couple weeks that we're going to be building out for you guys. So we're trying to freshen up the show little by little for all of you, so make sure that you're here for all of those new things. If you're here, hit that follow button. It means a lot to us. Thanks you for all of the folks who have been following. We had 666 on Twitch. I'm sorry. Steph in Facebook, Resock in Twitter or Twitch, Deb, Sosa, Dragoon in Twitch as well. Thank you for all the follows. Chad in Facebook. You guys are all the best. So we like to grow our family here. We like to make sure that you guys have a voice. So if you guys want to just chime in, just tell us what you're feeling. Whether it's, sports, life, anything. We like to hear your voice so we can, grow our family even more, grow our community even more. So, thank you so much for watching the show, being a part of it. We'll be back in the lab on Sunday. Scotty, you'll be here, right?
I'll be here.
Yeah, we're on a 3-show streak.
Look out.
3-show streak, son. We're in it. Can't wait. I'm already counting down the days till our Sunday show.
How many days is it?
I can't even count. I've had too many tequila drinks right now, so I don't even know. So, let's see. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're 3.5, 4 days away, depending on how you count it. If you're on the far east, like our boy 666.
666 across the pond. He's now on Thursday.
He's now on Thursday. So
he's closer to this show than everyone else, even though time is the same. So maybe not.
Hit us up on all of our social media platforms. I honestly need to do a better job at updating these. But if you, following this channel on the various live platforms is amazing. If you can do the other platforms, that's fantastic as well. So keep your eye on all those updated platforms that we're streaming to, and can't wait to see you guys again on Sunday. We're gonna get you through the weekend, but hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. We love each and every one of you, and again, can't wait for Sunday. Can't wait to see you guys again here. It's just too long.
Have a great rest of your week. Watch some Euro 2020. Watch some U.S. Open. Watch some NBA and NHL playoffs, and we'll be back to let you know what you missed if you didn't watch.
Love you guys. Have a good